high waters today, so I gotta tell her to do something different with the laundry. Um, Obviously, different than the last time when I was standing here. I think the question was, how are we going to respond to some adversity and get up off the mat and be ready to go against Ohio State? I think we answered, that question. But now we're in a different situation with 18 to 22-year-olds where you're handling a situation where we played well Saturday and did some good things, and now we've got to handle that appropriately and bottle up that same toughness and togetherness that we had on Saturday. We've got to have that again tomorrow night against a very, very physical, athletic, deep, number one in the country in offensive rebounding. Minnesota forces a lot of turnovers, gets out in transition, scores easy points off those turnovers. They've gotten teams in foul trouble. They average 26 free throw attempts a game, making between 18 and 19 a game from the free throw line. Once again, lending itself to indicating how physical they are. So it's a great challenge for us. Obviously, they're playing really well now. I think they've won 10 in a row, and their only loss being to Duke in the tournament in the battle for the Atlantis. So we've got to be ready to go. I thought we practiced well yesterday. We've got another one today. I like our game plan. Our staff always does a good job with that. It's just a matter of us coming out with the same effort, energy, toughness, togetherness that we had on Saturday, and our ability to execute the game plan.
These 2 days of practices, are they like the couple leading up to Ohio State?
Yesterday was. In terms of physicality, I think is what you're alluding to. Yeah, we've felt like that was important last week. Just because we won a game doesn't mean that's still not important moving forward. We did a lot of the same things yesterday that we did the day after the Purdue game when we came back from West Lafayette. A lot of the physical type plays, the intangible plays that are the difference between being successful and not being successful. So it was physical practice yesterday. Today we'll do some contact, but we'll also not go quite as long. We want them to be mentally and physically fresh for tomorrow night's game.
I know you can't control the start time of the games, but does it make any difference having the game start at 8 o'clock, having basically the whole day leading up to it?
Well, sure, you got to be adaptable. I'd like to, I know there's some coaches that we've studied that try to eliminate the unknown and always practice at the same time. Philosophically, I like that, but the games aren't always at the same time. We've played in different time zones at different times, and in tournament play and postseason, whether that's conference tournament play or postseason tournament play, they don't let you pick the times. Sometimes you're in a different time zone. You're noon, you're 11 a.m., you're 3 p.m., 8 p.m. You have to be adaptable. So we've tried to do that, and there's no question that our practice times are when we eat and what we're talking to them about and how hard we're going and when we're going, and all those things get altered based on start time of games.
Same keys for rebounding against this kind of team that's, like you said, number one?
Yeah, they're impressive. It doesn't get any better than number one in the country in offensive rebounding percentage. They're getting 48% back on the offensive glass. They are lights out on the glass. Points off turnovers, offensive rebounds, getting to the foul line, all those things they do at a really high level.
What is it about Mbakwe there are people, Rodman was one of those guys that just go get the ball, he seems like he's got that sort of built into his DNA or something.
He does, Mark. He's a gifted rebounder, gifted athlete, physically strong, and he's a seeker of contact. You're either an avoider or a seeker. There's no in between. He's a seeker. He's a load. He is. And he's older. Kind of like Sam's older for us. I do think that's an advantage. I think this may be, is this his 6th year? Mark, I think this is his 6th year, so I don't know what his birth date is, but I know a lot of things, but is that what he is? Okay, 23. That's an advantage. It is, just like it's an advantage for us to have Sam. I said yesterday at the radio show, imagine if Sam McLaurin hadn't been picked up in the spring. Holy cow. He's so valuable in a lot of different areas, most of which are his age, his experience, his maturity physically, mentally. Those things are huge assets for our team, so I'm sure he brings those same assets to Minnesota.
Do you think about playing Sam and Nana more in games like this when you're...
We have, Jim, and, we've done it before. Each game's different. Someone asked a question last night about substitution pattern. Obviously JoJo and Sam come in pretty early. But after that, it's kind of instinctive. Foul trouble, no foul trouble. Who do they have in? Do we need an offensive lineup, a defensive lineup? What's the size differential? How are we playing? What's our scheme that night defensively? Who lends themselves to certain lineups and combinations that fit that scheme the best. There's a lot of factors, and it's really instinctive, and a lot of it's game by game.
Any reaction to being one win away from 100 for your career?
No. It's amazing, though. Seems like it just started yesterday. Although my hairline's not indicative of that, but yeah, it's been, obviously I've been the luckiest guy in the world. I said that before. I said it last night. You look at the coaches that I've coached with or for, and the players that I've had a chance to coach over the years, and believe me, those guys deserve a lot more credit for those than I do.
It seems like one of the Tubby's better teams, and they've always been good in the post. Is the guards their key this year?
Well, I think they're really deep, Jeremy. They've got 11 guys, some games, and really competitive games. They've played 11 guys. They're deep, and they're athletic, and they keep coming at you. I think one of the characteristics of his teams over the years is I think a lot of people, but they play really hard. They really compete, and there's no question about that. Watching them on film, he certainly has put that stamp on this ball club as he has his other ball clubs. But I think the thing that stands out more, and again, you'd have to ask him if he feels like it's his best ball club since he's been at Minnesota. But the thing that stands out to me more is just their depth. Guards, wings. You're mentioning guards. I think it's 1 through 5. They got a ton of depth.
Coach, you talk a lot about Nana just needing to play more. Where does that inexperience show up? Is there any benefit to that? We talk about so many kids playing so many AAU games and maybe having bad habits.
Well, I think inexperience sometimes can breed, Jim, inconsistency. Once you've done it one time, like he did it at a pretty high level on Saturday, it's in there. We all knew it was in there. And he's done some good things up to Saturday, too. You saw it coming. He just kept evolving and getting better and maturing and growing. And I think it's just comfort level, familiarity, experience, and having the mental capacity to deal with getting knocked on your can and to deal with, having a pretty good ball game like he did on Saturday, kind of going through that grind. I think each day he gets better. This is really he's only been playing between 5 to 6 years. I think him playing as much as he has and figuring out how to play hard without fouling. We all knew coming into the season, that was an issue for him last year, and he just continues to get better. And I'm excited about his development and progress.
What do you think about Illinois honoring Manny Jackson by hanging his jersey up in the Raptors tomorrow night?
Well, I think it's great. I had a chance to meet Manny in the fall, and wrote the book Boxcar to Boardroom, which is an interesting, really educational read. I'd suggest it to anybody. He's overcome a lot of things to get to where he is today. He's obviously meant a lot to Illinois and to our basketball program, and his accomplishments, I think, speak for themselves. And he came in a time and an era where you had to have some courage, and I really respect him for that, and I'm looking forward to seeing him here when he gets to campus. And we had him around, like I said, around our team in the fall. He spoke to our team and was very inspirational and very bright, and he's certainly a proud representative of the university as well as of Illinois basketball.
You mentioned Minnesota's depth. Obviously, Joe's having a great year off the bench. How would you evaluate your bench plays?
Well, I think it's been solid. I think it's been good. I think Joe and Sam have, you could, those guys are, they come off the bench. I've said it before, the Red Auerbach deal. You need to have a sixth, for your team to be good, you need to have a sixth man or seventh man, or at least one of them that's like a starter, that plays those type of minutes, that produces at that level. If you don't, your team's probably not going to be real good. and Joe and Sam have done that at a pretty high level for us. I'd like to see Henry get a little bit more consistent with taking care of the basketball, ball security, rebounds per minute played. He got 1 defensive in 11 minutes the other day. I think he has the capability to improve in that area. But he's always a threat. You put him out there. He was 1 for 2 from 3 on Saturday. He's making between 35 and 40%. Mike can shoot the ball. The guy's got to guard him. So he's been an asset, for us for sure. I think Langford is getting better. Obviously a little bit of a hiccup the other day. Just he was ill. Wasn't able to play and was just under the weather and wasn't able to go. So that kind of took him a step back, but I'm sure he'll keep moving forward and getting better. And our staff will keep working with those guys and helping them improve and getting a little bit better every day.
Is Devin available?
He is. Yep.
Coach, can you talk about the importance of the point guard battle? Abrams is coming off a good game on Saturday, and he's going up against a tough one, not Andre Hollins.
He does. Fortunately for us, we have 2 quarterback decision makers in Abrams and Paul. So we kind of have a spearheaded attack with those 2 guys versus maybe having 1 true point guard. Obviously Tracy and Brandon share ball handling responsibilities, playmaking responsibilities, have really grown, as I mentioned the other day, into that position. They want to do it. They've learned a lot. I think they're getting better. But Hollins on their side is just he's a great point guard. We've played against several. Rodney Clark's really good from Butler. Kevin Pangos is really good from Gonzaga. I thought Frankie Sullivan from Auburn was a really good player. Watching him, Kraft is a really good player. We've had, good or bad, depending on how you look at it, have played a lot against a lot of really good point guards. And I think Andre Hollins is a load. He can score. He had 41 in a game against Memphis. He can make guys better. He defends. He's athletic. He's got good size. He's really, really talented, and starts with him on the offensive end. He's the one guy that can make a play for himself or for others without necessarily running offense. Brandon's that way a little bit for us. Tracy at times, and that's such an asset, to have. He's really, really gifted as a scorer.
Any questions from the phone lines for Coach Groce? Herb, you don't have anything for us today?
Herb's in Miami.
I'm still in Miami.
Oh, he's still in Miami. Shannon, how about you? She on there? No? Anything else here in the room?
Coach, the 3-point shooting percentage has come down a little bit. Are teams defending it better? Is the quality of shots not as good?
I'm sure it's a combination of a lot of things, Jim. I don't think it's necessarily one thing. The game Saturday was strange when I watched it on film because we made some really tough shots like at the end of the clock. And just as many of those that we made, there were ones where stuff we ran, it's like, Griff's wide open, anybody within 15 feet of him, or DJ's wide, stuff we executed really well. And I thought we missed some shots where we executed at a really high level and we were wide open, and then we made some tough ones. And sometimes it goes that way. I think the best thing about Saturday is, with our team, we defended, we rebounded, we got the ball to the paint via the pass and the dribble. And, I think there for a while, people may have said, hey, if they don't make threes, well, we didn't make them Saturday. At the level we're capable of making them. We made some, but we're capable of shooting it better than we shot it on Saturday. So I think we showed some improvement in some of those areas that, hey, we can, if we defend and rebound, we've got a chance regardless of how well we shoot the ball. Our guys are getting pretty good looks right now, I think, overall. And, over the course of time, I like our odds with the shooters that we have over the breadth of a season or, in this case, 16 more games, that they're going to make their fair share.
How important is it to get off to a good start and get the crowd involved early?
Well, I think it's always important to get off to a good start regardless of who you're playing. Obviously, we're at home. The crowd was terrific on Saturday. I think it's important. I think the 4 minutes to start the game, to start the second half, starting both halves, I think are really, really important. I thought we did a pretty good job of that on Saturday, and hopefully we do that again because you can start to dictate some things. you kind of, if you can get off to a good start. Traditionally, we've, through the course of the 16 games, we've done that pretty well, and hopefully that'll continue. Anybody else?
Ready for Coach?
All right, thanks, guys.